All right, so this should be the current state of your Bootstrap, as we are affectionately calling it, Tanya Abs page. So I have already added on all the things that are going to be required for this next step, which are listed in the SoloLearn application problem. So you're going to go through and complete up to and including the CSS3 lessons. And then from the working with text, the properties, and the CSS3, these are some items that you're going to do. So you may need to go back to that like book or whatever in this SoloLearn, like click on working with text and then find the thing on text shadow properties. Or go back to the properties one and find these. So anyway, I'm just going to go down each of these and demonstrate what these are on my page. And of course, I'm not going to let you see my code because you have to figure out the code on your own. All right. First off, I do want to mention that you do need to have a CSS page. So you're going to create a new style sheet called funstyles.css, and be sure that you have that linked because that's going to be important. We need to make sure that we put all these on a new CSS page because we didn't have one. And then you're ready to roll. So the first one it says is working with text. Create and apply a text shadow properties to a class. Use the class in your first and last name or in a large heading fonts on your page. You can see here there is a shadow. I made mine a light color because I have dark backgrounds. But you'll see a shadow on my letters. So there's my text shadow properties. And that's the first one. And I just applied that class to each of these headings individually. So I created a dot, shadow this or something, and then I added that class to those properties. All right, in the properties section, the next one is save a small image to the images folder in your BS folder. Create a class that includes the image as a background that only repeats on the left-hand side, and apply it to one of the grid divs. So I chose the first grid div, this gray one, and you can see that I've got these little smiley faces, and they're all going down the left-hand side. So they are repeating, but they are only repeating on that side. So there's your hint for that one. Next, save a large images to the images folder in the BS folder and apply this as a fixed background behind your grid. So this big grid that you see behind, or this big like glowing thing you see behind, that's my large image. It's in my images folder and it is a fixed background. So it's styled to my body on my CSS page and it's styled to be fixed so that when I scroll, see, it doesn't move. So it's fixed. All right, the next one says change the cursor for the document to crosshair. So what you see right now, my cursor, that plus sign, that's a crosshair. So you're going to use the crosshair as your default cursor for the body. And then as an extension, and you can like wait, and if you have time, do the extension. This is for my really smart folks out there. You're going to create a custom cursor using an image. And two different images if you want these extra credit points. So I have this part, and you can see that this little emoji looking face guy becomes my cursor when I'm over this div. And then when I come to these, it goes back to the crosshair. And when I get to the balloons, it's a balloon. Isn't that fun? So anyway, that is the extension for those of you who choose to do it. But that one is not priority. Wait until you get the rest of them done before you go adding that fancy stuff. All right, next is the CSS3 section. It says create a class for a circle shape. So this is my div. It's actually a blue div, and I have changed that based on using the properties or the CSS code that does that for that box shadow. And then I've got a blur and a spread here on this shadow, so these have that blur. Okay, so there's that one. Next it says create a pseudo element that includes an image either before or after H2s or H3s, and make sure it's used at least twice on the page. So you can see here I've got mine set, and there's a little cheerleader, and she just pops in there after each of these headings on the page. So these are, I think they're H2s. They might be H3s. I don't know. These look bigger because these are also styled for that display. So it's got multiple styles working on it. All right, finally download an OTF font. Now, you can go anywhere, Font Space or DaFont or whatever. We're looking for an OTF font instead of a TTF font. So you may have to download several till you find an OTF. I just want you to get an open type font file. You're going to put that OTF font file in your fonts folder. We should already have one from when we did one the other day. And then you're going to load that. This one here that I'm using was called Display something. And that's the one that I am using here So this was the one from the other day when we had to add one, and then here's the new one that is added is based on this project. And then there is one more extension activity, which is create a class and apply an image as a border. And so that's what this little thing is here. You're seeing this. It's actually another one of these smiley faces. It's one with a little tear coming from it. You can see the tear here in the corner. But I used it set to stretch, so it's stretching it all the way around as a border. Or there's other settings where if I had a little smiley face, I just didn't want to take the time to go resize it, it would use it as a pattern border all the way around. There'd be a bunch of little smiley faces. So that's the extension on that one, and I give you a link, a hyperlink, for some help on that, because that one's not actually in the SoloLearn lessons. So there you go. You should have all the rest of the stuff from before, including your carousel and several of these other things. But yeah, that is it. So good luck, and hope yours looks like mine when you get all finished.